the Place Text tool. To get to the Place Text tool, we're going to go underneath the Drawing Production tab, and then right here is the Place Text tool. Or, just to make sure we're getting to our MoDOT standards, we can go to the workflow of MoDOT CAD Detailing Standards, and then we're going to go ahead and go underneath the design. If you're in Bridge, you'd go to Bridge. If you're in Survey, you'd go to Survey. But for this example, we're going to go to the ribbon of Design, and underneath General Annotation, you're going to see some notes. You'll also see some text that you can select from. And basically these are set up to either do small text or large text, or whichever type of text that you're wanting to place, and it preloads all those settings for you. That way you don't have to figure out what the text should be on and what the color should be and all that other stuff. So for this example here, I'm going to do small text. So I will go ahead and select MoDOT Text Small. And now you'll get the options of the text editor and then also the Place Text tool. You have some different options in your Place Text. You have by origin, you have word wrap, and you have fitted. You also have it set to where you can use annotation scale, which we will use that. And then also if you want to enable the relative association to an element, we're going to leave that unchecked for this example. And of course you have your active angle if you wish to put an active angle in there. So if we're ready to place text, simply go into your text editor and we'll go ahead and type in some text. And now if we're ready to place it, we simply go out on the screen and left click to drop it off, and we have that text placed. You also have some attributes up here at the top that you can change if you need to, for like justification, because right now it's set to center, as you can see on the end of your cursor. Well, maybe you don't want that to be center justified. Maybe you want that to be left justified. So if you click on this little button right here that says justification, you have some different options of how you want that particular text to be justified. So maybe instead of being center, I want it top left. So I will go ahead and select it. And now as I place my text, you'll see that on the end of your cursor, the X will be placed at the top left of that text. And of course, if I edit that text, it's going to be edited from that top left going over. If it was still center, of course, it would leave it still set to center and then edit the text accordingly. So that's using the by origin method. Let me go ahead and change my text back to a middle center justification. Another one that you have, which you may use occasionally, is this word wrap. So let's say we want to fit some text inside of a certain area. If I change that to word wrap, what you have to place first is the actual bounding box for that text to be placed in. So, and you'll see down in the lower left in your status bar it says place first corner point. So I'll go ahead and select the first corner and you'll see a dynamic box being placed. And once you go ahead and left click, what it's going to try to do is place that text inside that box to the best of its ability. So if I come in here and put in some text, I'll just say place text here using word wrap option. And you'll see as I move my mouse back out here, it tries to place that text inside that box to the best of its ability. And then once you're done with it, of course, just left click to drop it off. And now you have that text inside there. And of course, since it was center justified, it's going to center justify it. If I want that to be a little bit different, let's say instead of center, I want that to be maybe middle left, you could do it that way. So just kind of remember those options whenever you're placing the text. Let me go ahead and right click to reset it. So we showed you the first option, which was the by origin. The second method is the word wrap. We're not going to worry about the fitted because we don't use that for MoDOT purposes. Now let me go ahead and go back to the workflow here, and I will go back to Open Roads Modeling, and there's another tool that we're going to go over, and we showed you the Place Text tool. Now we're going to go ahead and show you how to use the Place Text along an element or maybe on an element. So to get to that particular tool, we'll go to the text tools, which are these right here underneath the Drawing Production, And go ahead and click on this down arrow, and we're going to select the option that says place text along. Now inside of here, you're going to get some different options. You got above an element, below an element, on an element, and along. And basically the icon represents exactly how the text is going to be placed. So if I come in here and swipe through this, and I'll put in text, and I'll use this first option that says above an element. All I have to do is identify the element that I want to place the text above. And since it's left justified now, it's going to be left justified. Let me go ahead and change that to middle center. And now if I'm ready to place it, go ahead and left click to drop it off, and now you have the text place. Same thing for this diagonal line. I can do the same thing. It places it above it. And of course, I can do the below, and it does just that. It places it below that particular element from the point that you selected. So kind of keep that in mind. I selected right here, it's going to place that text right below it. Another option that you have is on an element. So let's say we want to place this text on this particular element. What it's going to do is whatever point that you select, and then go ahead and left click to accept it, it actually breaks out that particular line string and places that text on that element. So now we have two separate lines, or three, or whatever, but it breaks it out and places that text on that element. So that's what that one does. And then the last one is along an element, which that one there is going to place it along that particular element. So I'll go ahead and change the wording on this one, make it a little bit longer. And now if I go ahead and select maybe along this curve here, once I have it selected from that point, now you determine which side that you want it on, whether you want it above it or below it. And that's all depending on where you have your cursor at. So if I want to place it below it, I'll just drag my cursor below, and then I'll left click to accept it, and you'll see that it places it along that element. So those are the options for placing text in ORD.